sunlight begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. Sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking now. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking now. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe, and it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Simracersworld TV, and welcome once again to the Sunday Drivers MX-5 series. This week, coming to you from Pocono in the United States. My name is Chaz Draycott, and alongside me today, the better half of the dream team, if you ask me, Jack Werrell joins me in the booth. How are we doing, Jack? This is going to be a corker, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be an absolutely crazy race. We've gone from one oval to the other. So we were at Charlotte Roval last week, and we are now at Pocono North this week. I know this sort of circuit isn't necessarily, from a driving point of view, one of the best circuits in the world. Personally, I prefer a slightly more complex circuit, but I know from a viewing perspective, it's going to be a crazy race. We can get some proper wide angle camera views, maybe even a bit of chopper cam this evening. So it's going to be a crazy race, and I don't think we're going to miss a single battle. With it's not exactly a long circuit either, only 2 kilometers long. So if there's going to be a battle on, we're going to see it.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, you can see from the map there, just in front of you, everybody, how simple this circuit looks. Now, let me tell you, it does look simple, but in these cars, trying to get on the power, trying to get minimised wheel spin, it's not easy at all. We'll jump in and have a quick look at what these guys have got going on there. Oh, look at that overlay on the left. That's pretty, isn't it? We've got the guys just in practice at the moment. 8 minutes of qualifying. Well, just about 7 minutes of practice left to go, and then they'll be jumping into qualifying. Now, when we were looking at the championship standings, Jack, after last week, it seemed that things have opened up in some ways and closed up in the others. It's a bit of a crazy one, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely. It's not like it's not a tightly packed field. It's a really open field. There's a massive range of experience and talent here. And I was just looking quickly before we went live. The field from top to the bottom has 13 nationalities, so it's very much an international league, and it's produced some really close racing. And I'm hoping tonight is going to be pretty much exactly the same as what we've seen before. We're looking at Andrew Lovesey in the simulation racing leagues, or dubbed as SRL machine. And I've got to say, I know we always do it, but I'm going to open with it tonight. That's one of my favourite liveries.
Yeah, anyone that's seen me and Jack, or listened to me and Jack commentate together before, will know that we like a good livery on Simracersworld TV, and we like to make sure that that livery gets appreciation. Andrew Lovesey is the championship leader at the moment, 119 points, just ahead of Bram Claes, or Bram Class, however Jack wants me to pronounce it tonight, because he knows these names better than I do. And Louis Correa is third in the standings at the moment on 85 points. Well, Andrew with a 25-point lead, Jack. It's quite a big jump, considering that, you know, some of these guys don't even have 25 points in the championship. Only those that are above 12th position actually have more than 25 points. So it looks like he's doing a good job at the top of the standings, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. He's been dominating the league pretty much from start until where we are now. And like you said, we're going to go back to it again. It's a real range of talent and experience, which is great to see. It means it's really exclusive, or inclusive, pardon me. Yeah, it's just nice to see that, yes, someone is definitely leading from the front. But even though you are out of the top 12 and you might not be fighting up there with triple-figure points, even if you're just fighting down that end, it's going to be a close battle. So I know there's a couple of drivers which are separated by 1 point, and some drivers that are even on exactly the same point.
Yeah, there is actually a lot of them further down the order that are tied on points at the moment. Please do excuse me just a moment, everybody. The paints will just reload on screen now, so all the cars you'll see for just a moment will be white. I did try and get them downloaded beforehand, but trading paints was being a rather large thorn in my side and did not download everything in time. So it's unfortunately just come to now for me to get them updated. However, we do want to make sure that everyone's liveries do get the appreciation that they deserve while they're out there. Thank you everybody that has tuned in so far. Looking forward to a great night racing with you. What we'll do, Jack, is we'll go on board with Dan Mould here, who actually has the highest I rating in the field. Into turn 1, though, it's really difficult to get this car slowed down properly into there because you're turning and braking at the same time, aren't you?
Yeah, it goes against everything that goes through your head. You know, if you've raced pretty much any car, turning and braking isn't the greatest idea. It unsettles the car, and if you're going into a corner on the brakes while also putting a bit of lock on, you won't tend to come out of the corner. So in these cars, which are really light, and they haven't got the massive amounts of horsepower, and their torque figure isn't exactly breaking records, but for the weight of these cars, the power to weight ratio is absolutely insane. So any sort of, I suppose, little strife you can get going into a corner really isn't going to help you. So you've got to make sure you're on it for the entire race. And these guys, obviously, we're going on to, what's this? This is round 7. So they've driven them before, but they still catch you out. We've seen in at Charlotte on the first couple of laps going over it was a very undulating circuit at Charlotte, so you saw a lot of drivers getting caught out there. So I don't think it's really a car you get used to. So it's a level playing field, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'd agree on that. It is like there is a balance with these cars, like you say. They're not the most exciting cars in the world to watch in terms of their power, and you know, they're not like 1,000 brake horsepower, loads of downforce, really loud noise. They're just proper little racing cars that are, you can compare them to sort of club level stuff, but to drive they are actually very difficult because they had an update not too long ago where they got another 30 brake horsepower, they rev a lot higher, and well, especially on these new tyres as well, they really do slide around a lot, and you can't just plant your foot like you used to be able to in the older MX-5s and iRacing. I mean, you can hear the revs that Dan Mould is putting through this thing at the moment. I'm expecting the valves to pop out and start dancing along the bonnet as he goes round now onto this this last straight. I just got a bit concerned for a second there because I saw Crowther at the bottom of the timing screen. Now I've got a friend called Niall Crowther, but it's actually Derek Crowther that's racing in the series. So I thought Niall had suddenly just popped in and got on with the party there. We're just going to show you the next 5 down from that on the timing screen on the left. You can see the gap between everybody, and to be fair, Jack, the fact that we've got the top 20 separated by less than a second is pretty mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. I know we said at the start that 2-kilometre circuits aren't exactly long, but for pretty much 50% of this circuit, you're flat out. So there's very, very little time that you can find. It's all going to be found on the braking points, the turning in points, and every little advantage you can get is going to be in that infield section. So you've got a very short amount of time to put in a quick time, and if everybody in the top 20 is less than a second apart, it's going to be an amazing practice, or it has been an amazing practice. It's going to be an even better qualifying, and the race, you just can't put it into words how close it's going to be.
Yeah, especially with some of the slipstreaming as well that we're going to see through the final sector. We're looking at Marcel Heyman here, who is new to the series apparently, and he's P5 straight away. Well, he was P5, sorry, he's just gone down to P6. But it's very impressive, to be honest with you. He's doing a good job as things stand. Louis Correa, the Venezuelan driver for H20 Esports Racing, and the number 2 car is top of the pile at the moment. Thanks, of course, to H20, the series sponsor. They do a hell of a lot of support for this championship in getting everything going. Thank you to Sander Ware as well. Hopefully he's enjoying himself out there tonight. Rene Ware is out there as well, his teammate and brother in the number 5 car. He's the Dutch driver for that team. Nearly cutting the nose off somebody there. Just trying to figure out who that is that was going past. Here's Craig Walters on the outside. He's in the SRL car with a nice bit of chrome on it. But unfortunately, the shinier your car is doesn't mean that you can keep it off the grass. Just trying to have a look at people that really stood out for me further down the order. Andre Zeller for CTTS Esports. He's very active in the Simracersworld YouTube chats when we do our broadcasts, so it's good to see him supporting the series out there. Having a bit of trouble turning it in there. One of the H20 cars in the wall. I'm just trying to look for a very specific person on our list, and it doesn't look like he's actually here tonight, Jack, but oh, he is actually. Jordanin Zvetanov in the he's a privateer, the Bulgarian driver, number 10. Very exciting to watch at Okayama a few weeks ago. He is definitely someone to watch out for when the race gets underway.
Yeah, definitely is. We've seen some absolutely amazing performances from him so far, and although as practice just rolls over to what's going to be qualifying, we've seen a few little underdog performances. It tends to be, if you're not noticed on a stream, it tends to be quite a good thing because it means you haven't ended up in a wall. So we've seen Svetanov go from the very bottom end of the field. Maybe he's just not had the most confident of qualifyings with a circuit maybe he doesn't like, or maybe he hasn't even gone out to qualify. And we've just seen him fly through the pack. And obviously, you've got a little more experience than I do. Well, a lot more experience than I do with this championship after you covered the first 5 rounds. So you know what these guys are like are much better than I do, and you'll sort of know who to put your money on.
Well, that was the thing, you know. No matter how much you see these guys, you don't know who to put your money on because there's that much of a. I mean, I'm sure they won't mind me saying there is a big difference in skill level from the top to the bottom of the grid. But that's what makes this championship so beautiful. You know, you get so many drivers of different paces that you never know what they're going to be like each week. Every time they go to each track, you know, it's so exciting to watch because there's such an unknown factor to it. The SRL guys are together on track, I believe. No, sorry, that is the Powerhall Sim Racing Academy driver Sebastian Hain. He was good to watch at Okayama as well a couple of weeks ago. Same with Javier Lopez. Javier had a quite a good fan base in the chat. There is Sanderware and the #1 H20 Esports racing car. And Kalle Kvisto in the Finnish, well, representing the Finnish drivers. Of course, Finnish drivers, Scandinavian drivers, they're usually the ones to look out for, aren't they, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of but there used to be a joke because obviously it was well renowned on a popular motoring TV show. We'll just put it like that. That the Finnish drivers and sort of all in that sort of part of the world, they were very very good for their driving talents, and it definitely shows. And I know we've already sort of chosen out a favourite livery. Obviously that tends to change a fair few times over the night. But favourite names, I've got to say, Kalle Kvisto, it just rolls off the tongue. That's definitely one of my favourite, but I'm guessing we've already mentioned him before. I'm going to struggle to find him now. Where is he? Svetanov. I bet he's your favourite name on the grid.
And favourite livery, because it's just so brightly coloured. It looks like an ice lolly from the 80s, that MX-5. It is just bright green, bright red, bright purple, just big magenta rear end on it. Love it. I absolutely love it. And it just stands out, you know, and he did at Okayama. Very, very exciting driver. I'm expecting big things. Michael Ellett was one of the quick guys as well. He's a privateer, the South African driver tonight. Not out on track by the look of it. Looks like Andre Zell has had an issue. Gets on the throttle. Oh, he's parked in the middle of the road and he's been clouted by the #3. That's Javier Lopez. One of the... I'm just trying to see who that was that went through there. It wasn't. It was Bram Klaas in the Simtech racing car. Was it his teammate? Matt Tempest. It was Matt Tempest, sorry. Just trying to get used to the liveries and the teams again. Of course, 3 weeks between each round of these championships. And I think it adds a bit of suspense, doesn't it, Jack? I think that works quite well, having a few weeks between.
It definitely, it obviously gives you time to recharge the tank, but if you have a battle with someone in the previous round, you're going to be brewing up to the next round thinking, oh, where was he weak? Was he weaker in the braking zones? Maybe on turn-in, he turns in a little too early, so he compromises his line on exit. So obviously this might be going through your head. So these guys will be going into the next round, albeit this round, with a plan in their head, and it might be the complete opposite. So yeah, it adds tension, and I suppose it motivates you to put in that extra little bit of practice just to see what you can gain, because like you've said, you've got 3 weeks, and it's not like most of the guys in Europe and pretty much all over the world with the current situation, they haven't had like no time to practice. Obviously you try and squeeze it in where you can, but these guys, they definitely have been putting in the hours. I've seen a couple of names that I've recognised from this championship on the hosted sessions, and I've gone into maybe an odd little practice session and I've seen a couple of names in there. But yeah, we're definitely in for a treat. I can't stress that enough. It's gonna be a crazy race tonight, and I think it's just going to add up towards the end of the season. The more confident these drivers will get, because they'll be racing like door to door with each other as the season goes on. So the last round is going to be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to get very, very feisty. Just looking at Pedro Marimon, who's just had a bit of a shout out in the YouTube chat. Also, I have to say, I've always been a fan of Ben Hicks's team name, Fast Cars Go Bang, but the livery on that thing as well. Lovely, complex livery. It's a very strange thing to say, but it reminds me of one of the display aircraft that the RAF used a few years ago. They had some sort of like waving and jagged design all over one of their Hawk trainer aircraft a few years ago, and I loved it, and it didn't do many displays in that livery, unfortunately, but that looks absolutely cracking on the MX-5, and it goes well as well at the moment. Jack, he's in 6th position, but it's so close between all these guys. I mean, we've got 8 tenths covering the top 12 at the moment.
Yeah, it's we knew it would be close, but maybe not quite this close. Obviously, we've just been looking at Hicks. But if you look at Sander Ware just behind, he's 1/100th of a second. It's like, well, he's now gone up to 2/100ths of a second. It decided to change as the leader, Louis Correa, posted a different time. We've seen him dominate a couple of races so far, but 2/100ths of a second between 2 drivers on alternate parts of the circuit. That's crazy close.
Yeah, certainly is. It's quite frightening how they can do it, but Louis Correa, like you say, has gone top at the moment, the Venezuelan, for H20 Esports Racing. Dan Mould, who actually has the highest I rating in the field, I did mention that earlier, he has 2,211 I rating. Of course, in leagues, it doesn't mean everything. People do see it as obviously still quite a considerable factor of your pace on iRacing, which is good because, you know, it's nice to have that indicator. Jean-Louis Morget at the back of the field has 730 I rating, so you can see there's a bit of a split, but at the end of the day, I've raced against people with 2-digit I rating before, and they've been quicker than me, so you never know, it could be a red herring for some of them. We've got a driver off the circuit. David Geddes is in the wall, and the purple and green machine. You can see the very suspect tyre marks there. Jack, he's just lit it up trying to get on the oval and lost it into the wall, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's a very oh my God.
There he is.
The overlay tends to. Did he get help? Oh, he hit the wall. He ran wide going up onto the oval, or what is in theory turn 3 of the oval, and the final corner on the Pocono North Loop. Hit the wall, just got help from behind. I can't put my finger on who that was. But yeah, he just got sent straight into the barrier. This is Rene Ware deciding that it was the end of his lap. We've got loads of drivers off the road. I know that there are off-road roads here. Well, if you can call them that. As you see Dan Mould exploring both of them.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure whether that's on the itinerary. And he's going straight over another service road. And he finds his way eventually back onto the track. Gets an amazing run out of that hairpin, and he's got someone to follow going on to the next lap, Jess.
I can't imagine that's a personal best sector for him. Louis Correa, by the way, is 3 tenths clear at the moment in the number 2 car. It's a great feat, bearing in mind how close the field is. We've got 9 tenths covering the top 16, which is Yordanin Svetanov, the Bulgarian driver. I love saying that name as well when you get it right as a commentator. Honestly, don't doubt me. It's so rewarding. Victor Oliveira in the number 47 car. He is 15th at the moment. Matt Tempest is in 13th, just a couple of places ahead. Here is Matt coming down the straight, or the not quite straight. None of these guys really actually do take that very straight, do they, down here, Jack? Because they're coming out of the long right-hander, they want to smooth it out and then get a smooth run into turn 1 as well. So you're constantly turning right, pretty much.
Yeah, that's it's basically what you've got to do. We did mention that these got their 20 horsepower boost not so long back, and that does sound like quite a lot, and 20 horsepower is quite a lot in something that didn't exactly start off with like massive amounts of horsepower, but it's all about momentum in these, and I find it very similar to the Skip Barber almost, how smooth is fast. If you start going sideways, and I suppose a go-kart as well, if you start going sideways, you start to lose time and scrub off that extra speed, and even if it's just 5-6 miles an hour, that will make a massive difference going on to this final turn at Pocono. So and also draft. You can see Matt Tempest making the most of Dave Geddes, not Steve Geddes, Dave Geddes' draft. So yeah, it's a car you've got to master, and if you can't, you've got to make sure you're following someone. Not to a massive degree, because obviously if they make a mistake, you make pretty much exactly the same mistake. But you've got to make sure you've got someone to follow, and you can pick up their lines. Because I know a few of these guys have spent a lot of time practicing, but maybe for the ones that are less fortunate and don't have all the time in the world to practice, I find that the 40-minute before the race isn't exactly enough time, so I'm sure these guys are still finding new little lines and maybe a corner that you can probably brake a little later for. And you tend to see that during the race as well. You see someone decide that they're going to go very deep on the brakes and make it work. And that is sort of a key factor in the Sunday drivers. You never really stop learning in these things. So it's brewing up to be a great race, and we're not even halfway through qualifying yet.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's always room for development in iRacing, and that's part of the attraction to it. Is it's not easy. Anybody that watches these broadcasts, I'm sure, will probably think, oh, I could do that. But if you've come from backgrounds, like, no disrespect to them, but if you've come from backgrounds like Gran Turismo or Forza, you know, they're a bit more forgiving a lot of the time. They are sort of simulators based around the idea of being an arcade. I know that Gran Turismo Sport is quite unforgiving compared to a lot of its older titles, but you know, iRacing is considered the real deal because of all the laser scanning, because of all the real data they get from the teams and the drivers. It's so natural looking as well, when with all the movement, the bouncing around, everything's calculated so well. And it's that little desire that you have just to find that extra tenth, that extra thousandth here and there, just to make your lap times quicker. Sorry about those disappearing gazebos on the pit straight, by the way. I've just noticed that keeps happening. That's something to do with my my graphical settings on iRacing. I did change it earlier, but it seems like it hasn't come into play because I haven't rejoined the server. So we'll try and sort that out for next time we come to Pocono, if we do. Whoa, very close there for Heyman, just missing the lap traffic. But that's the awareness you've got to have around here, Jack. I mean, like I said before, big spread in pace between some of these guys. You've got to be prepared that someone's going to brake a bit earlier, go off in front of you. You know, you've got to have your eyes open, haven't you, around here?
Yeah, definitely. You've got to be on the ball. Pretty much every single lap, there's very little respite. The first couple of laps, you might be able to get away with it, but then you've got to remember that there might be traffic that got caught up in a first lap incident or something like that. So you've got to be on it for this entire race. So although they're not the quickest cars in the world, they're definitely ones you need to be on your toes. You can't get away with a slight lapse in concentration. And you did mention there's a massive range in speed, and that's not just from top to bottom in terms of drivers. I'm looking at a team, H20 Esports Racing. They've got a driver at the very, very top of the board, and one 4 places from the bottom. So you've got Louis Correa leading the way at the moment. After what was that? That was a 58.43, so a crazy time from Louis Correa. And then we go down to the next H20 Esports Racing car. That's Rene Ware in P6. Just I say that as his brother and teammate Sander Ware goes up to P4 once again in a H20 Esports Racing car. We then go down to Xavier Lopez in P14. We've got Alvaro Rodriguez. Well, someone's managed to set fire to the infield. That's Xavier Lopez. There you go. Alvaro Rodriguez in the penultimate H20 Esports machine in P24, and then Arturo de Villa in P30. So H20 Esports, although they've only got one car in the top 3, they're definitely dominating the field, because you'll never be able to get one of those out your rearview mirror by the sounds of it.
It's all about the mind games. It's all about the mind games. And what I like as well, I'm just going to confirm this by going back up the grid as well, just to make sure that I don't make an idiot out of myself. They've all got single-digit car numbers ranging from 1 to 7. Actually, sorry, 1 to 9. But I'm a big fan of that. I like single-digit car numbers because they just look nice and simple. They carry some sort of power and prestige with them. It's almost like a lot of championships in the past. They used to have, going into the next season, you know, if you had a driver before, the next season you would have your finishing position from the previous season. So it often carries a bit of status with it. It sort of says, I managed to finish second in this championship last year. Like, you should sort of watch out for me. You know, I'm one of the quick guys. Things like that mean a lot in motorsport in my eyes. And it's nice to see that they carry those numbers, whether they actually have finished in that sort of position before when they've had races or had a season of this. Oh, as we see there, just off the circuit goes Arturo de Villa. Sven Dahlman's on track, actually, Jack, in the Stage 1 racing car. We were looking at him earlier. Not sure whether he's a relative of Bart Dahlman, but I know it's Bart Dahlman spelt differently, so actually ignore me because it's Dahlmans. So they're both Belgian. Leave me alone. Peter Reed is in 23rd at the moment for the Simtech Racing team, and I know these guys have quite a pretty spec map on their car. There's quite a few actually in shot there as well. Just in front of him is actually his teammate, which I think is Rob Jackson. It is. They like a bit of chrome in that team, don't they? And a bit of matte black.
Yeah, definitely. We know that spec maps do win brownie points in my eyes, definitely. if you're going to go for a run at best livery of the evening, and I've got to say that team have definitely done something I love. If you've got one car, reverse the livery, so make the spec map the same, but swap the colours around. So maybe where one car has got red and the other's got black, or one car's got black, you just make the other one have red in all those positions. It just makes it look so nice. And I think we were mentioning it the other day, Chaz, where if you've got teammates, maybe just change the sun strip colour or the wing mirror colour.
Yes.
And that's what H20 have done. They've just changed the wing mirror colour, and it looks absolutely amazing. So I know we've sort of already. Is that a Joker lap?
I think so. You might have thought he was in a stadium truck or something there, but It's good to see Javier Lopez getting some tests for the suspension done for the MX-5. That's what we call car development, everybody. He is actually getting a couple of shouts in the YouTube chat as well. Mark Reba is saying, "Come on, Lopez, per Catalunya." And I hope he is from Catalonia, because I want to go visit him and go see the racetrack, because I'm a massive fan. Enrique Aguilera, brother of Christina, is 5th at the minute in the number 46 car. Sort of crept up the order a little bit. Louis Correa is still top, but it's drivers like this, Jack, that they just pop up to the board and they put a good lap in. People like Martin Pereiro as well, just a few places back in 9th. They could just bang a time in and then surprise us and be really up there at one race and then not at the next. That's the beauty of the sort of unpredictability of this championship, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We've said it before that it could be a circuit that really works for a driver, it could be one that really doesn't. So I know it sounds weird, a race circuit's a race circuit, but there's some circuits that really flow and that really suit your driving style. So like another iRacing circuit, Belle Isle, that's a street circuit. Very, very little room for manoeuvre. There's no runoff pretty much anywhere. But some people might like that. They might like the challenge, so it keeps them on their toes. Whereas some people might like circuits with massive runoff. For example, it's not in iRacing, but Paul Ricard, it's got huge amounts of runoff. But that might comfort somebody because they know if they go wrong, it's not exactly going to hurt them. So it could be just the track, it could be the car, or it could just be them. They might not be having a good day. They get on the service, don't have a great night, but then they know they've got, in 3 weeks' time, they've got another race, and it's going to be twice as good.
Just for the record as well, Belle Isle is not my favourite circuit on iRacing. I have some underlying issues with Belle Isle, and if I'm honest, it doesn't deserve the bad rep I give it because I've not properly driven it in a while. But yeah, I don't like the idea of it. Paul Ricard's just a large painted car park as well, to be honest. We're looking at Michael Elliott at the moment, who is second, the South African driver. He's getting a couple of shouts in the stream as well from DTPN Streams, saying, "Mikey Elliott, let's go, boy. Rep South Africa, son." And that is exactly what he's doing. Second on the grid at the moment, just under 3/10 behind Louis Correa. He's doing a cracking job at the top of the standings. But just going back to what I mentioned before about iRating here, Jack, if you look at the top 3, Louis Correa's just got over 1900 iRating. Michael Elliott's 1300. Dan Mould, 2200 though. As I say that, Enrique Aguilera goes up into second place with 1700 iRating and just changes the average even further. So, it just shows that iRating isn't everything.
Yeah, definitely. It does come down to experience at the end of the day as well. Like some of these guys, they might only race the MX-5 for this league. Obviously, that you have got the advanced Mazda series on iRacing, but the first time you drive these is the first time you get on the service. If you're going to go through that road racing path, you've got to race in these Mazdas. And for me personally, it was a get it done and out the way, and then you get to the good stuff. But yeah, some people might have the reverse view of that. They might get into it and go, "Oh, I love this car," and stay in it, keep on building up their license, and then move on to advanced Mazdas and go from there. So it's not just iRating, it's experience as well is one of the massive variables in the championship. So it shows that, yeah, like you've mentioned, iRacing isn't exactly the biggest thing. It's experience and sort of how comfortable you are in the car as well. I'm not that keen on it. They go a little too sideways for my liking. But yeah, they're a great car, and these guys are showing it off, definitely.
Yeah, it is very much a momentum car. Oh, there's momentum there for Lovesy as he kisses the wall. One thing I did want to note as well, I'm going to use Martin Pereiro. Oh, he's just got in a bit of contact there and spun the car. But we got a beautiful look at the side of the car, which is something I just wanted to highlight. Some of you will notice, the eagle-eyed of you will notice that number 4 on the side of that car is not in the middle of that number board. And as somebody with OCD, it hurts my feelings. However, I can tell you that there has been a recent update to the iRacing MX-5 where the numbers that iRacing prints on it automatically, has been moved forward. So everybody's liveries that have number boards on seem to be slightly out of place. They have a circular number board on the side, which we will see on Javier Lopez's car. You can see that car, it has the number 3 slightly to one side of the circle. That circle used to go over the door panel and suddenly stop. And it used to frustrate me massively because it looked very ugly. But now iRacing seem to have thought, we don't like that either, and moved the number boards forward. So some of the liveries may look a little bit mismatched in that regard, but it's not their fault. iRacing have just decided to put out an update and not include anything in the notes about it, not tell anybody. So Bram Class or Clace, or however you want me to
Should we
pronounce it.
decide
Jack.
on one now? Should we just call him Class so we don't have to trip over each other for the rest of the team? Should we just call him Class? Right, decide. Class or
Yes,
Clay?
Class,
Class?
because
Class.
we're
We'll go
hoping
with
that
it,
he's
Class.
going to be the class of the field. We'll have to have a look. Thea Musanti, I think it is, in the YouTube chat says Paul Ricard is beautiful. Somebody's replied saying, have you considered seeing a doctor about that? I agree. I agree. But, yeah, let's not discuss Paul Ricard now. Qualifying is just coming into an end, Jack, so some of these guys are going to be finishing their laps now, or disappearing in and out of shot, as Louis Correa is. Is he going to improve? Well, he pulls
He hasn't
over.
set personal best sectors, and now he was, Jesus, it's 7/10 away from his best time, so he was very much a one-lap hero by the looks of it. But he did complete 17 laps, so I'm sure he was trying to eke out as much time as he could. We've got a few more drivers coming over. We've got Xavier Lopez, Arturo de Villa, Marcel Heyman, Martin Pereiro, Sander Ware. They're all ticking through, and I'm not seeing much green, and I'm definitely not seeing any purple sectors. So I don't think there's going to be massive amounts of improvement. I say that as Michael Elliott, our current or our provisional P3 qualifier, has set a personal best sector 1 and sets a personal best lap time as well of 58.65, and that doesn't send him up the order any further.
No, he did improve, but I don't think he gained a place from it. Just about half a tenth of a second better by the look of it. Couple of guys now have pretty much rounded out their laps, actually. Seems like there's nobody else on a hot lap at the moment then. And it looks like Louis Correa is going to take pole position then. We're going to have plenty of laps ahead of us here though, Jack. I mean, on such a short circuit, it's going to be very, very lively for these guys. What do you reckon the first thing that they've got to think about is as we look at the grid?
I think it will be a lot of sort of management of aggression. It's a very tight and twisty circuit in the infield, so you've just got to be careful. Don't be overconfident. We've got quite a long race ahead of us, so there's no real need to push crazy hard on the first few laps. But these guys know what they're doing. We've seen it happen before, and I'm sure we'll see it happen again. It's just going to evolve into a crazy race.
It certainly will. So running very quickly through your grid then, Louis Correa and Indica Aguilera on the front row with Michael Elliott and Dan Mould on row 2. Sander Ware lines up 5th, just ahead of Bram Class, with Rene Ware and Marcel Heyman on row 4. Pedro Marimon is 9th, with Martin Pereiro in 10th. We then have Cali Cavisto and Andrew Lovesey, the championship leader, on row 6, followed by Craig Walters and Ben Hicks on row 7. Then it's Victor Oliveira with Xavier Lopez. Then it's Jordanin Svetanov, look for him coming through the order from 17th, alongside Matt Tempest. Then we have Rob Jackson and Derek Crowther, Sebastian Hain and Peter Nord, David Geddes alongside Timo Paya. Then we have Peter Reed, Arturo De Villa, Alvaro Rodriguez and Stuart Dalton, followed by Sven Dalemans, Andre Zeller, Robert Huvel and Jean-Louis Mauger, and Harry Bowen lines up the back of the field. So look for Louis Correa then. There he is. On this very high up camera, looking down on the MX-5. We're only waiting for one more guy on the grid, and there he is, Indica Aguilera. So, it's time for me to shut the music up. The revs will rise, I'm sure mine and Jack's will as well. And round 7 of the Sunday Drivers MX-5 series is underway, and it's a fantastic launch from Louis Correa. There's a couple of changes further down the order. Pereiro hasn't gained much from that start. Looks like Pereiro has really dropped down the order, actually. He's dropped down a little bit. We'll have a look further back. Oh, there's a car around in front of the pack. In the middle. Oh, there's chaos. Absolute chaos. Some of them come in very, very quickly. A few guys at the front have gone off. They've got to be very careful about the rejoin. There's someone around there. There's number 3 comes through into the field. That's Xavier Lopez. There's two sets of 3x3. Cavisto's gone back to the pit lane straight away. Some of them checking up here. Looks like everybody's got back on. Bit of contact into the hairpin. Just going to keep my eye out, see who's going down the order. Rene Ware is going down the order in the H20 car. He's been spun around at the hairpin, but it's Louis Correa who holds on to his lead as we come to the end of lap 1 already. 28 laps to go here, Jack. Little bit of a blink there, but wow, quite a crazy start.
Yeah, definitely. I said at the start of the race, it will be about monitoring what you do with the aggression at the start of the race. And I'm guessing a few of these guys didn't get the memo and thought there's plenty of room on the inside, and it evidently didn't show. We've got Martin Pereiro rounding out the top 10 at the moment. So a good start from him. Stuart Dalton's gone up 16 places from his starting position, so making the most of a dire situation. Matt Tempest has managed to stay where he is in the Simtech Racing Team machine. We've got Marcel Heyman off the road. I thought he went into the pits on the lap prior, but I think that's just my eyes were messing with me. We'll have a look. We'll see how he managed it, going a little too hot into turn 1. No, he
Oh,
gets major help from the number 23 machine by
it
the
was
look of it.
Pedro Marimon and the 20 that gave him a love tap, we'll call it.
Yeah, we'll go with that, but he definitely got help. Got it back going. Got it back going again. Though some minor rear end damage, but I don't think that will be affecting performance to great amounts. Got Timo Pyatt that's seeing what he can do about Sven Dalemans in the Stage 1 racing machine. Going back onto the oval section of the circuit, and my God, Chaz, we're already on lap 3.
Yeah, this is the thing with such a short track. These laps are going to fly by. Enrique Aguilera is in second place at the moment. Dan Mould is just ahead of Michael Ellett. He's gained a place on Michael, who has dropped down to 4th overall. Like we said before, though, Stuart Dalton has gained 16 places. If we look on the left-hand side, oh, Javier Lopez is going way off. Is he going to hit the jump again like he had before? There it is. Oh, saved the suspension. Oh, there's another car off behind him, actually, one of the Simtech cars. That's Matt Tempest going off the road. I'll have a quick look at what happened to Matt, because that's not a natural line through there. Oh, sorry, this was Peter Reed. Wrong one. Onto the grass. Oh, it's not going to slow down if you do that. Gets slightly out of shape. Loses it. Oh, wow, he really got the jump there, Jack, didn't he? Flung it in the air.
Yeah, definitely. I know we made the joke about a joker lap, but he's very much treating it like a rallycross circuit, getting all the air that goes with it. We had an issue for Martin Pereira, so we'll have to see what happened to him.
Oh.
He's gone backwards onto the transition onto the oval. Everybody seems to have avoided him at this point. Kaleka Visto deciding when he's going to come out the pits, but here's Martin Pereira. He's sideways going onto the transition. Great avoidance by the orange and purple machine. But Martin Pereira will be annoyed with himself, gets it back going again, pointing the right way, and ready to chalk off another lap. But he's now way down in P28, and after starting what was P10, I believe, he's definitely dropped back to quite a great extent. We look back from Sander Ware, and he's trying to shake off the attention of Andrew Lovesey.
Yeah, the championship leader has gained 6 places so far in this race, and he's trying to put him. Well, he's actually gone off the circuit now, as Lovesey. He sort of tried to avoid Sander and has gone wide, and now his teammate is going to come through. That's Craig Walters in the number 41 car. Straight through he goes. I just want to have a quick look back and just see what happened at the start, Jack, because we had quite a lot of stuff going on between these boys. Let's go to the wonderful blimp camera and just see if we can figure it out. So there's a H20 car in the middle of the field there, going completely sideways. These guys come across. There's another bit of contact at the front. They just join back up on the apex, don't they? And then it just all concertinas. There's another little turn in the background. That's one of the SRL cars. Look at that bunch in the middle. So close between all of them. We'll have another little look towards the front of the field. Oh, it's 3 wide. He squeezes it down the inside. 2 bits of contact, and then he gets put across the road, smacked into by someone going in there full chat. Some of the guys not slowing down too much into the incident, but to be fair, we could have lost a lot more cars from that, and we didn't. I think we got away with that one quite lightly, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Xavier Lopez was pretty much the innocent party in that. He was doing his best to give everybody enough room, but managed to get caught out. We did say it was quite a tight and twisty circuit going from turn 1 back to the oval. But he's managed to get it back going again. This is Sander Ware, still under pressure. He's got rid of one SRL car, but there's Craig Walters just behind his SRL teammate, or Andrew Lovesey's SRL teammate. Throws it up the inside, uses a bit too much grass on the entry. Can he get it slowed down for turn 2? Just manages to get it slowed down using all the track and a little bit extras, flicking dirt up. You definitely can't miss the interior of the H20 esports car, piloted by Sander Ware. He's now been demoted down to P6. I say that, but as Andrew Lovesey barges him out of the way, he momentarily goes down to P7 and then manages to collect the tail end of a very sideways Andrew Lovesey, and he's dropped all the way down to what is now P9.
Yeah, there was a little bit of contact there. I'm not sure Sander could do much about it. Andrew sends it up the inside. Sander does a great job to not get collected, but on the exit, not really much he could do there. Andrew sort of made his bed there, and he has to unfortunately lie in it at the moment. Dan Mulder's done the fastest lap of the race, by the way, here, and he's done 3 purple sectors. He's right on the back now of Enrique Aguilera. He does the fastest lap of the race again with a 58.273. So it looks like the SRL boys are the ones to beat here with the pace, but Louis Correa doing a good job controlling the race lead at the moment. This little trio has got 2 seconds over Michael Ellett in 4th position. Craig Walters just behind them has gained 8 places. Stuart Dalton's still on an absolute mission, gaining 17 places as things stand. You'll see the stats for that on the left of your screen. A little bit of a blink here in and out there by Louis Correa on this occasion. Jack, do you reckon that's going to get difficult for these guys to cope with?
I know as a driver following somebody that maybe doesn't have the best connection in the world, or there's just a bit of blinking here and there, because obviously we mentioned it's got 13 nationalities, so it's very much an international series. So there's bandwidth will be put through its paces, and we did mention it earlier, but we're going on to what is now lap 8, and Louis Correa, I think I saw some in shot earlier. There will be some lapped traffic on its way. I'm not 100% sure how far up the road it is, but Louis will have to be getting plans in his head on how he's going to deal with it. You did mention SRL, the Simulation Racing League's car, and they've got 3 of their 4 entries in the top 10. So those guys are definitely pushing on forward. We've also, I don't know whether they just haven't entered a team name, but Sander Ware has come to blows in his H20 car, the number 1 machine. Gets it back going again. We'll have to have a look back just to see what happened.
I think Marimon got involved. Oh, Marimon's gone in hot. And it was him as well that gave somebody else some help into turn 1 earlier. He's a bit overzealous into there, it seems. Sander Ware goes off. Oh, Marimon gets some help of his own. That there alongside him, I believe, was the number 38 machine of Marcel Heyman, the privateer. I think something else also kicked off for these boys. It did not. Andrew Lovesley looks down the inside. He's too scared to have a go at these boys now. He thinks, God, these are maniacs. I'm not going to go near them. It is close there, actually, between Lovesley and Heyman. Oh, Heyman goes into the pits. So Lovesley gains another place. That's 5 positions gained for him. Sander Ware is also in the pit lane. Must be damage after the incident. It's a real shame to see that, though, Jack, because they're on for quite a good scrap, those boys. And, you know, a little bit of contact can ruin it in these MX-5s, unfortunately, because they can get turned around so easily being rear-wheel drive with all the weight at the front.
Yeah, definitely. They're not exactly the heaviest cars in the world. I was thinking from that previous incident, that was a very, very hefty hit on the offside front. And he just managed it. Oh, that's another incident going into turn 2. That was Ben Hicks getting help from, I think, was that Stuart Dalton?
It was, yeah.
It
Stuart
was
just
going, yeah.
Sent it down the inside. A bit of a braille pass, as I'd call it, and a bit too sendy, if I'm honest. But, you know, you've got to try and take these opportunities. It's a bit of a shame that it came to that conclusion for Ben Hicks. He's got Jordanin Svetanov behind him, and Jordanin is doing a good job at getting through the field at the moment. 7 places gained. Of course, nothing on Stuart Dalton's 19 places in front of him, but with contact like that, you've got to wonder why he's gained that many places, I suppose. But side by side here is also a bit of a switch around for the race lead, it seems, on the timing tower, but don't believe everything you see, because it's just Louis Correa's connection as he's blinking in and out. But this is Svetanov going down the inside now of Stuart Dalton. Peter Reid just behind this battle, by the way. He's gained 14 places at the moment, so he's flying as well. We've seen a couple of the guys do that. Harry Bowen, here in 19th place, has also gained 14 positions in that Fast Cars Go Bang livery. Absolutely loving that one. But like you said before, Jack, we're going to be thinking about lap traffic, and to be fair, there is a bit of a ding-dong going on there with lap traffic. That's Dan Mould. He's having contact with Jean-Louis Marget in the privateer French entry. And looks like Jean-Louis not too scared to get his elbows out with these leaders.
No, he's obviously we've mentioned that there's a massive range of experience, and I don't think. Oh, there you go. That was the Frenchman. Yeah, managing to collect Aguilera on the start-finish straight. I thought Aguilera was pulling across a little early, but we'll have to look back a little further just so we can see the build-up to the incident. But that was Jean-Louis Marget going.
Oh, this is how he lost his
lap prior.
Yeah, this was just how he lost out in that battle. That was very lucky not to be contact. In my eyes, though, that was on Aguilera. Unfortunately, he did just come across. It's not going to rewind it far enough, but he didn't need to come across on Jean-Louis Marget there. Jean-Louis is actually the innocent party in my eyes, but that was a real shame. It didn't have to end that way. It was just a bit of a lack of awareness there, unfortunately. This is Timo Paya, who was also quick at Okayama in the pink-white-pink livery that sort of resembles one of the old Super Touring Vectras that I'm a huge fan of, that you're also a big fan of as well, Jack. I hope you can see the familiarity, because some people may not, because it is a pink MX-5 compared to a red Vauxhall Vectra. It's a bit of an image shift, but yeah, it's good to see Timo making his way up the order. He's gained 11 places, but Jordanin Svetanov, keep an eye, well, you can't not, keep an eye on this very brightly coloured car, because I feel that he's going to be flying up the order soon. He's going to get past Enrique Aguilera now. Victor Oliveira is his next target, 2.2 seconds ahead.
Yeah, he's closing down that gap to quite a substantial amount. You did say he's got past Enrico Aguilera, and by the looks of it, I don't think he will play any further part in this race. We are only 12 laps in of the 28 to be completed by our leader, but he says he's out on the timing tower, so I've got the feeling that means he's left the session. And if it happened anywhere else on the circuit, Jazz, I'm sure he'd be fine because he had plenty of runoff, but he just happened to be on the start-finish straight on the oval section of the circuit where it's just track to wall, so there's very little you can do about an incident. This is Sven Daleman seeing what he can do about Timo, throws it up the inside, going into the second of 3 hairpins, I believe. But now Timo has fallen back from Sven Daleman's. He's compromised himself at Derek Crowther, another SRL car making his way onto the stream. So the SRL guys are definitely getting their elbows out today.
Yeah, nice little move there. A bit of opportunistic stuff from Derek Crowther, just seeing what was what, and he thought, oh, I'll go down the inside there if you're going to leave that open. Just ahead, Stuart Dalton is only just ahead of Peter Reid here in the Simtech Racing team car. I thought I got the wrong team there just for a moment. But that's Dalton Tracy Racing in front. Stuart, a bit sideways in turn 1, saves it. You can see the driver soaring at the wheel. The bright green gloves as well, not to distract you from the bright green wheels and bright green roll cage. And now it looks like Stuart is going to be a victim of the cutback here. Peter Reid really trying this. Peter's showing his nose, just saying, come on, I'm still here, son. Oh, he's got a bit hot in there, though. Can they avoid contact? They do. They both lose a bit of momentum, though. Ben Hicks is about 5 seconds back on these guys, so they've got a bit of a gap now where they can afford to have a scrap. It looks so quick round there, but you see them get closer and closer to the wall and think, oh, no, and then they just miss it, don't they?
Yeah, it gets very, very close, and I'm pretty sure if mirror destruction was simulated on these Mazdas, you'd finish the race with none of them, because we've seen plenty of incidents, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't finish with half the amount of mirrors you started. Stuart Dalton still deciding what he's going to do about the Simtech Racing machine. Drops a wheel onto the outside of turn 1, nearly followed and collected by the Powerhole Racing machine behind, but due to that, he's lost out to Peter Reid in the Simtech car. But I don't think that was for long. Stuart Dalton didn't plan on sticking behind. But once again, Chaz, we're seeing that cutback getting eyed up a little bit by Peter Reid. But once again, he can't quite make it work. We're right on board with Peter Reid going into the final part of the 2-kilometre circuit. Peter doing everything he can, starting to focus on the best run out onto the oval. So he's sitting back a little bit, getting a nice tight entry and powering the car up the banking here at Pocono. But Stuart Dalton hovering on the inside of the circuit, not giving him an inch at all. Now running him up the circuit. You are allowed to do that. Peter doing everything he can to keep the momentum going all the way around the outside. I don't think he'll quite get it done. Once again goes back into the draft, going into turn 1 and turn 2. Seeing what he can do, he drops back once again, nice and early on the brakes, just to see whether he can make the most of the infield circuit. But that didn't come to joy for him this time, Chaz.
No, sometimes on long corners like that, you really do have to hang back, just focus on the run. You know, you can sort of take your time to go slow in, fast out. Does work in these battles, and it's working for Peter Reid. He's actually managed to get down the inside there. Oh, he went in a bit deep himself, though, as well. Stuart Dalton just sent it in. The car was running wide. He's done it a couple of times here. You can see that Peter's just trying to follow him at the same pace, and it's not working for him at the moment. He's really trying to send it into these corners as well. Looks like we've had an issue for David Geddes and Arturo De Villa a bit further down the order. Let's have a look at what happened to Arturo. Oh, he's gone off at turn 1, very deep, off the track again. Doesn't hit the jump this time, rallycross style. He manages to get away with it. But we'll look back to Victor Oliveira and Yordanin Svetanov. Yordanin has really caught him up. Look at that cutback down the inside, beautifully done. Very well judged from Yordanin, and up into 7th position he goes. Doing a cracking job. We'll just show you the intervals on the left-hand side, by the way, everybody. You can see there what we see, which is the closest cars on track. When they go orange, it means they're within half a second of each other. When they go yellow, it means they're within a second. Oh, but Setanov's gone straight on there. Runs wide on the exit. It just looked like he didn't turn in on the exit there, Jack. It just completely drifted wide on him.
Yeah, we saw an absolutely amazing move going into the turn 1, turn 2 complex. Very, very confident on the brakes was Yordanin. But he's now dropped back once again to, I've lost him on the timing tower. to Victor Oliveira, but he'll be doing everything he can to make up that position he previously lost. But obviously, these guys, they're 5 seconds up the road from the Stuart Dalton-Peter Reid battle. But if these guys keep battling, and obviously lap traffic will eventually play a part, Stuart Dalton and Peter Reid, we can see them still battling tooth and nail going into turn 1 and turn 2. But I think Stuart Dalton is going to lose out this time. A bit of contact, door-to-door contact though. Stuart Dalton, can he get it slowed down? He keeps it off the grass for the most part. Gets it slowed down, ready for the entry of turn 2. I say that as he runs very wide onto the grass. Gets it back onto the circuit, not in the safest way. Nearly catching Ben Hicks as he rejoins, but he's dropped out of one battle and he's dropped straight into the clutches of another one, Chaz.
Yeah, for me, he squeezed him a little bit there. Oh, Sven Dailmans has gone off. Harry Bowen's had an issue as well, and the other fast car goes bang livery. And oh, Peter Reid's gone off. Peter Reid is off. I really hope that wasn't contact with the back marker there. I think that was Marcel Heyman. So we'll have a quick look at what happened with Harry Bowen and Sven Dailmans. This is Harry Bowen. Oh, Sven's on the outside. Oh, Harry's just gone way too hot into there. Really way too hot. Takes Sven with him, unfortunately. Let's see what happened to Peter Reid. That is Marcel Heyman with him there. Oh, Peter doesn't really leave him the room, to be fair. I mean, Marcel's a lap down. You can't be expecting him to battle. Marcel is quick, but yeah, Peter just didn't leave him the room. What I was going to say before, even though Stuart Dalton's still up 18 places now, he's back ahead of Reid. He did squeeze him a little bit going into turn 1 in my eyes, so the contact was inevitable. He was lucky he didn't lose out more from it, but he's back out there. He really is sending it though, is Stuart. He's going deep into a lot of these hairpins, but it just shows you how much these guys are trying. Oh, Penarero's around. There's a big crash at turn 1. That's Timo Paya in there in the number 12 car. Martin Penareiro rejoins the circuit. That was the number 9 of Alvaro Rodriguez involved as well. Rob Jackson's also had an issue. Rene Ware has also stopped. There's been a few little incidents here. Oh, he just snatches a brake on the way in. Gets the car out of the way nice and easy. This is what happened with Timo Paya. Oh, wow. Oh, humongous send by Penareiro there. I'm not quite sure what he was doing. And then Timo's in the middle of the road and just gets collected by a couple of them. That was the other Simtech racing car in there, I think. Who was that? Just trying to see further down the order. I think, you know, it was one of the guys from further up the order in the Simtech racing car.
Could it have been Rob Jackson?
It was Rob Jackson, yeah. Rob Jackson, it did say that he'd stopped. Svetanov has been off the circuit, apparently. Oh, there's contact with 47. That's Victor Oliveira, who he was chasing down. Peter Reid's also had another issue. This is just becoming a recap show. Oh, he sent it down the inside of the number 5. That was Rene Ware. Oh, and he stops it in the middle of the road. Oh, I don't know why he did that. That was not on the top of the list. That was Peter van der Noord, who was right up the order as well. So it's really kicking off here, Jack. But out in front, Louis Correa, 6-second lead over Dan Mould now. He's doing a cracking job.
Yeah, he's doing a great job to leave everybody behind, but we've seen the top 15, almost top 20, littered with incidents and probably some questionable driving, let's go with. And I think the Svetanov incident going into turn 1, we saw him have an absolutely amazing overtake going into turn 1 on the brakes. Maybe that filled him with a tiny little bit of overconfidence. And he went in fully expecting the overtake to go pretty similar to the one prior and couldn't quite get the move done. There's Dan Mould, so you can see the gap. Louis Correa still around 6.5 seconds to 6 seconds ahead of Dan Mould, but we've seen plenty of incidents before and most of them have been self-inflicted. So it only takes one slight mistake from Louis Correa to drop back into the grasp of Dan Mould. And obviously Michael Elliott is only 1.5 seconds back from Dan Mould, so it won't take a massive amount to make this a three-way battle for the lead. But we've got battles going on all the way up and down the field. We've got almost 50% of the field on a lap down, but that doesn't mean they are going to be short of racing. I'm just looking at Martin Penareiro. He's had an incident previously, but he's got it back going again, and he's definitely racing. You can see Matt Tempest just behind, not giving him any room at all, and he's also looking for a way past Sven Dailmans. But if these three start slowing each other up, you've got Robert van den Heuvel, if I put my teeth in, ready to pick up the pieces, and Harry Bowen is just behind as well. So it's almost a 6-car battle evolving into a 7-car battle, and this is for P15.
Now, I'm not sure about you, but the Dutch airline, KLM, That's all I'm going to say on that matter with Robert van der Heuvel car. Bit of an aviation nerd joke there. If you get that, then I'm hugely proud of you. Like Jack said, just in front, Sven Dailmans, Martin Peñarero. Martin diving down the inside on the brakes again. He is not scared of turn one. Oh, he's going to give him a bit of a kiss on the way through as well. They've got Matt Tempest just behind there as well. Tempest's also a name of an aircraft as well, actually. He's chasing these boys down. They're too wide in front. I think Peñarero's scared the life out of Sven Dailmans. He says, yeah, you just go around the outside, mate. Oh, and look at that. Harry Bowen just dives down the inside there, takes the opportunity away from Matt Tempest, and through he goes up another position. A bit further forward, Victor Oliveira still has not got rid of Jordanin Svetanov. We've got Stuart Dalton off the track. He's had a very eventful race today, hasn't he, Stuart? He's been all over the place here, Jack. Peter Reid has also had an issue. These boys just can't catch a break, can they?
Nah, it's been a very busy race for most, and that's a massive hit going on to the oval section of the circuit. It looked like the car wasn't settled at all on the way in. Everybody does a great job just to avoid him, including his teammate. Hits the tyre barrier, which I suppose doesn't take away from the incident, but then gets turned around by a H20 Esports or a H20 racing machine. Was it Rene West? Yes. Rene Ware, not Rene Rast. That would be quite a name in the timing sheets. But we still go back to this battle. Martin Peñarero leading what is now three cars behind of Harry Bowen, Sven Dailmans and Matt Tempest. I'm sure if we ride on board with Matt Tempest, he has got the best seat in the house looking at all of these cars and watching the battle play out. You can still see the rest of what is quite a picturesque Pocono circuit, struggling to keep it in a straight line. In the number 49 machine, but going back onto the oval, you'll really be able to see the gaps between these cars, and I'm sure there's some lap traffic mixing in with these guys as well. I think these almost fell short. These guys are lap traffic themselves, so they'll be looking to make positions on each other while also trying to work past some lap traffic. And I'm sure if Louis Correa, the leader, comes through, he will they'll be keep that in the back of their mind to try and let him through as well.
Yeah, that's the thing when you're in the mid-pack and you're on a short circuit like this, when the leaders are coming through, you've got to be watching your mirrors, not only for people trying to overtake you, but for leaders trying to lap you as well, because some of them you have to let them through, some of them you want to fight them for every little inch of circuit. So it's a very focusing time for these guys. Harry Bowen on the back of Peñarero at the moment. They were side by side just behind, actually. Matt Tempest is just trying to get past Sven Dailmans. They remain side by side. Tempest hugs it to the inside, gets a nice run out of there, but as Dailmans opens up the corner, he carries the pace, he runs a bit wide. Tempest sticks to the inside though, good fighting from him. Oh, Dailmans has gone wide, so surely Tempest's going to get the run. He leaves him all of the room in the world, and through comes Robert van den Heuvel. He says, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. If you don't want those positions, I'll take them off your hands. Just behind them there is Timo Paya, in a very bright coloured car. Martin Peñarero is still side by side here with Harry Bowen. This for 15th and 16th. Bowen says, I've seen what you're like in turn one, mate. I'm going to back out of that. You go ahead. Peñarero sends it into turn one again, makes it round this time, and does a cracking job to boot. Looks like Sander Ware had an issue on the track earlier. Oh, he gets a big hit from behind. Humongous hit from behind. That was the number 52. Who was that? Just trying to look down. That was Dan
Mould, our PT driver.
It was, yeah. Dan Mould taking no prisoners through there. Sander gets sent off into the dust. Oh, Oliveira's gone off the track again. Svetanov goes through without hitting him this time. And through the middle, Ben Hicks says, oh, I'll try and thread the needle. He actually goes and does it. Bit of contact there. Oh, he's around. It was risky. It was risky from Ben Hicks. And unfortunately, he has paid the price there, I'm afraid. It has to be said. He did go for it, though. I mean, let's just ride on board. Down the inside. Oh, this is Svetanov. Oh, I don't really think you could... It must have been the tiniest bit of contact. Oh, he doesn't care about the rejoin, though. He just puts his foot straight down, joins in front of the rest of the field. Luckily, doesn't get caught out. Otherwise, this would be torches and pitchforks for that sort of manoeuvre. But he carries on. Still in the top 10, though, Jack. So it's not a poor result by any stretch of the imagination.
No, definitely not. And I'm sure someone who isn't exactly downhearted with their performance at the moment is Stuart Dalton. He is in the top 10. He is now P10, making the most of some incidents further up the field. He has gained 18 positions from his starting position, so he's still keeping it going. We're looking at Andrew Zeller, He is P13 at the moment, and he's almost built up a gap to get into a world of his own. But he's got Xander Ware, or the recovering Xander Ware, just behind in the H20 Esports machine. He is the meat in a H20 sandwich, so to speak. He's got Javier Lopez ahead and Xander Ware behind, so he's not exactly in a closing gap, but Xander is gaining. We know Xander's quite a strong driver pretty much anywhere he goes, but we've seen this circuit claim plenty of prisoners, Chaz, and it's very quickly turning into a touring car race. There's plenty of contact, plenty of big air from these guys going into turn one using the rallycross dubbed section of the circuit, and lots of cars backwards. That's Dave Geddes on the outside of the second hairpin, but this is Andrew Lovesey.
Just gone off as well.
Yes, is he now under pressure? Well, he is under pressure, but I don't even think that was for position. It definitely wasn't. Someone not wanting to wait behind him. That was the number 5 car of Rene Ware, doing everything he can to get by. He's not wanting to slow down at all. And this race has gone crazy quickly, because Louis Correa has just crossed the line with an 8.5 second advantage over Dan Mold behind, and he has now gone onto the final lap of the race, Chaz.
It's just flown by. I can't believe it. 28 laps gone by so quickly. Dan Mold is 8 seconds back now on Louis Correa, like you say. That send by Rene Ware was very cheeky down the inside. He may be a lap down, but he doesn't give one, does he? He's absolutely gone for it there. I love that. Absolutely love it. I mean, some people may frown upon it, but you know, he was just doing what he could do. He thought, oh, I'm going to be a bit of a hero. But into the last couple of corners, though, Louis Correa, has to be said, has been pretty untouched at the moment. He needs new broadband, I have to say, but he's done a cracking job as the Venezuelan driver, and it looks like we're going to get 3 nationalities on the podium as things stand. So round the final corner then, foot flat to the floor, is Louis Correa. Clap emojis in chat, as we always do. Louis Correa takes round 7 of the championship in the H20 Esports racing car. Dan Mold is going to come home and represent Britain for 2nd place for Simulation Racing Leagues. What a race they've had. Michael Elliott under the radar, but still impressive all the same, 3rd place. Craig Walters and his teammate Andrew Lovesey are going to make it 3 SRL cars in the top 5. That can't be sniffed at, can it, Jack?
No, definitely not. We said at the start they were doing an absolutely amazing job. They had 3 of the 4 cars in the top 10, and I think they must have heard me, so they thought, you know what, let's do one better and put 3 of them in the top 5, so they've done a great job. And we had Derek Crowther, who was in P11, but he seemed to be greyed out on our timing screen. He might have just crossed the line and finished, but this is Pedro Marimon finishing P6, hounded to the line by Victor Oliveira. Here is Jordanin Svetanov, who narrowly avoids, was that an upside down Mazda MX-5?
Yeah, I think it wasn't Ben Hicks, it was Ben Hicks' teammate, Harry Bowen, in the middle of the road. I really don't know how he did that. That's, I think it was before that. It doesn't seem that it shows us the incident, but wow, Harry Bowen was not in an ideal situation there, sitting in the middle of the track. We have Peter Reed, who has just gone into turn 1. He's also finished the race. Just trying to see who else we have waiting now to finish a lap. It looks like everybody is around. Martin Pereiro is off the circuit, having a bit of fun into turn 1 by the look of it. But that brings us then to the end of the race, and I tell you what, that was certainly a feisty one, Jack. Amazing to watch. Great win for Louis Correa. Dan Mold 2nd place for SRL though. Really good result for them. We'll grab you the results just now, but what do you reckon of that overall though, Jack?
It was an amazing race. We said it was a recipe for a really good race, and I couldn't really stress it enough. And I definitely know why I can't, because it's a field that was just full of battles from top to bottom, and I'm pretty convinced this is Dan Mold's 2nd ever race with Sunday Drivers, because I interviewed him 3 weeks ago where he had a podium finish, so he's done an absolutely amazing job, and he's definitely showing off his talent, finishing P2. But yeah, absolutely crazy race. I didn't know where to look. There was cars, sort of 4 or 5 cars separated within a second. So a crazy race, and I can't wait. It's a really shame. It's a real big shame that they're 3 weeks apart. I would love to do this every week.
Yeah, I agree with you, definitely. It would be a lot of fun. We just ride on board with Javier Lopez, the showman, doing the donuts. But there are your results before you then. Louis Correa takes the win in the number 2 machine for H20 Esports Racing. Dan Mold 2nd for Simulation Racing Leagues. Then we have Michael Elliott, the privateer, in 3rd place. Then it's Craig Walters and Andrew Lovesey with Pedro Marimon in 6th. Ahead of Victor Oliveira, who does actually finish ahead of Jordanin Svetanov, who was very exciting to watch. Only 3 tenths behind though, with Ben Hicks in 9th. and Stuart Dalton rounding out the top 10. Derek Crowther in 11th with Javier Lopez, who we're on board with now, in 12th. Sanderware in 13th with Andre Zeller in 14th. He had a really good drive actually, gaining 16 places in the end. Biggest mover in the field was Stuart Dalton, gaining 18 places. Just behind Andre Zeller was Martin Pereira with Matt Tempest, Rene Ware with that great send near the end, and Robert van den Heuvel in 18th place. Following him was Sven Delmans in 19th with Rob Jackson 20th. Then we have Marcel Heyman and Sebastian Hain, the two Germans, 21st and 22nd. Arturo Davila, the Mexican driver, in 23rd with Harry Bowen 24th. Peter Nord in 25th, just ahead of Kalle Kavistu, who didn't actually manage to put much of an impression on us in that one, which is a shame. Peter Reed, 2 laps down. It's actually his birthday today. I forgot to mention. I do apologise, but happy birthday to Peter Reed. It was certainly a focusing race for him in that one. Alvaro Rodriguez in 28th. And then the guys just rounding out the field there. Timo Paya, 29th. Jean-Louis Morget in 30th with David Geddes 31st. Endika Aguilera qualified really high up, but didn't really make much of that. And a name that we didn't end up saying very much actually at the end there, Jack. Bram Klaas finished 33rd.
Yeah, not the greatest race from Bram. We spent so long trying to get his name right. We didn't really pay attention to where he was going in the field, but it only seemed to be backwards for him. He lost 27 positions from his starting position, so he's definitely not had the greatest race. But with 3 weeks to go until the next round, we just look back at the start. I can't wait for the next one. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Here's Louis Correa in the number 2 H20 esports machine. As far as I'm aware, he led from light to flag. Maybe Dan Mould got the best of him here and there, but I think he was at the pointy end for pretty much all the race. Going into turn 1, kept it controlled, and look at the gap he's already got. Great driving from Louis. Obviously, we've seen that blinking throughout the race, but that didn't seem to faze him at all. He just led it from the front. We didn't quite set the best lap as we were expecting. That was taken by Dan Mould, our P2 finisher, with 58.27, so a great lap from him. And crossing the line, obviously, in the second spot on the podium. But a great drive from everybody. Even if it didn't go everybody's way, they kept it for the road for the most part. There was plenty of contact and plenty of action, but we saw a lot of the cars cross the line to what I was expecting. So a great job from everybody, and I'm sure they're looking forward to 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, definitely will be. And someone that we've just brought in as well. We're watching him now, actually, but the eventual race winner, Louis Correa, joins us in the booth. Louis, that was a fantastic performance, mate. I bet you're happy with that one.
Yeah, really am. Thank you.
Oh, we can't hear you very well, mate. Sorry, you sound like you're about 40 feet away at the minute.
Okay, better now?
A little bit, yeah. Let me just turn the music and stuff down just so we can hear you a little bit better. I bet you're very, very happy with that one, though, mate. That seemed to go very well indeed.
Yeah, it was again lucky with the traffic like last race. I don't know how he managed to go through and then had that much trouble, but yeah, it was a good race, I think.
And what did you make of coming through the traffic towards the end? I mean, we know that some of the guys got lapped quite early on, but as these races go on, your tyres start to go off a bit. Does it get a bit more difficult to avoid some of the lap traffic, or does it just depend on who you've got around you at the time?
Well, I just think it's a matter of where in the track you find them. I always got lucky to get them just before the oval, so it's easy to pass there. But I don't know, it's a lottery.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's I've been saying it all race. There's quite a big difference in some of the pace from you guys out there. Do you feel like that's an issue, or do you feel like that just adds a bit more fun to it all?
No, I think it's something that brings so much fun to the race, because everybody has someone to race against, and it is a little bit boring when you're far behind and nobody with nobody to race. But
Yeah.
I think this is great.
Well, it's good that you enjoyed it. The H20 esports racing team had a bit of a mixed one today, but of course you'll be happy to have got them the main silverware, of course, for taking the win. How do you feel your season's gone overall so far? Is there any bits that you'd like to sort of change if you could go back, or would you sort of do everything as you have done?
No, I think I will do everything the same way. And I don't know, I have some bad luck in some races and I'm good in other ones. So I think it is what it is.
Yeah, it depends on the circuit a lot of the time, doesn't it? With championships like this, I mean, a lot of the time the calendars are quite mixed, aren't they, with some of the circuits that they go to?
Yeah, it is.
Well, very well done from us, Louis. It was awesome to watch. Very, very good win. Is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, well, thank you, and yeah, the H20, the sponsor of the team, that will be it, I think.
Cracking. Well, good to speak to you, Louis. Very well done, mate. Go and enjoy your evening, and we'll hopefully speak to you next time round.
Okay, hopefully. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Louis Correa there from H20 Esports Racing, and a great performance all around there. Jack, he just got it done from the get-go, didn't he?
Yeah, he's very. It's almost like deja vu. He did a great job at Charlotte Roval on the previous round, leading from the front. Although he did have Dan Mould on his coattails for the entirety on round 6, but round 7 it seemed to be pretty much a different sort of part. Although we do have the same top 2. Speaking of Dan Mould, we will bring our P2 finisher in now. So Dan, you did an absolutely amazing job on round 6 at Charlotte Roval, and you've had a very similar sort of round today here at Pocono. Well done on P2.
Cheers, man. Cheers, mate.
So after, I'm gonna have to hold on a second. Right. iRacing has decided to start itself on me. So after an immensely strong first showing, if I'm correct, at Charlotte, I'm guessing it was a very similar sort of plan here as well. Just sit behind Louis and see what you could do about taking top honors.
Yeah, I was hoping he was going to mess up again because he's very consistent. But yet again, another replay of the race before. The back markers played a big part. Just seemed to open up like a wave for Louis and then close when I get to them. Whatever Louis paying him, I want to know. I'm going to offer more money.
We did say at the start that lap traffic would play a major part. Do you feel that was definitely the case during your race?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that if it was a race between me and Louis, open track, open field, I think I would have had him. Felt confident around that.
Yeah, we saw you were great on the brakes as well. We saw you throwing it up the inside of some lap traffic, not wanting to be compromised by those guys at all. But going onto round 8, is it going to be something in the back of your mind with Louis? Is it something that you've got sort of ready and waiting, or are you still sort of formulating a plan on how you're going to take the top step of the podium?
There's no plan really. It's just pedal to the metal and drive as fast as I can.
Send it.
and send it. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather chase than be in front. So I do like Laguna. Done many laps around Laguna, so I'm looking forward to it. But there's plenty of guys in this league who also quit around Laguna. I know that. Some of the SRL boys, 100%. It should be good. I'm really looking forward to Laguna. I wasn't really looking forward to this track. I did say to Sandy, I did try to get this track removed because I just knew it would be a bit of carnage, but it didn't turn out too bad in the end. Didn't turn out too bad.
No, it was a great race. You can't complain with 2 P2s on the bounce. So a great job from you. Quickly, before I let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out on the stream?
Well, after last interview, I've got quite a bit of a list now. So my wife, my daughter were both watching. I think my boy's in bed, Zachary. I'm going to shout out to Joe, Leon, Andy, Deck, Craig, Andy, Sander again for letting me race. Appreciate it. Big shout out for Louis for from the competition. And that's about it, really. Definitely. Oh, and I want to put one shout out for my brother-in-law who's put his name on the car. Our sponsor, SM Computers. And that's about it. Yeah. Thank you two guys for a good commentary, which I'll be watching either later or tomorrow. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Yeah, no problem at all. We tried to do everything we could about keeping what was a very evolving first couple of lap battles between you and Louis, and then obviously you had Michael just behind you towards the end of the race. So we did everything we could to keep up with that. But I'm going to let you go. So thank you very much once again, and well done on P2.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Good night.
Cheers, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Good to speak to Dan there. He's well, it was a good performance, really. I mean, like you said, tough with the lap traffic, isn't it, really, when you're trying to cut through a field like that?
Yeah, it's we said pretty much at the start that even with the massive range of experience and talent up and down the field, these guys are so closely matched. We've seen it before, and we definitely saw it again tonight. So just to keep on the track is a bit of a mission around here and in the Mazdas, and to bring it home P2 after doing everything he could to chase down Louis Correa is a dominating drive from Dan.
Yeah, it certainly was, and someone else that we'll bring in. We're just dragging him mid-conversation, but to be fair to him, a little bit. Oh, he's disappeared. He's gone back. He's run away. You can't run away like that, Michael. You're here for an interview, sunshine. Here he is. Michael Elliott joins us in the booth in style as well. You're a bit under the radar in that one, mate. But how do you feel still getting a podium?
I think I deserve a medal just for finishing the race. To be honest, it was frantic. We're really good. Glad to finally get rewarded for some good pace. I think I've had quite good pace all season. So today was quite a nice reward. But absolute credit to Dan and Louise. I mean, they were just too quick today.
Yeah, it seemed like they did break away a little bit. What did you make of the MX-5 around that track, though? I mean, it's not a track that we see a lot of use out of on iRacing, but it seemed to provide some good racing because there's a lot of gradual corners and quite a lot of runoff everywhere.
It was tricky, very loose. Tail actually get quite happy, quite a lot of opposite lock moments. But yeah, overall great fun. And obviously getting through the traffic really kept me on my toes as well.
And going into the next round of the championship, what's your mindset now? Do you reckon you'll get another reward for your pace there? Because every time I've seen you've been quick, it's just a little bit of bad luck with incidents here and there.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, that's a plan. I hope to continue the good form, and I hope this will be a bit of a confidence booster.
Well, fingers crossed it goes that way, mate. Very well done again tonight. Unfortunately, you weren't on the broadcast a lot because you were just getting the job done. There was not really many people around you, as you know. But it's good to see you get the result, mate, and fingers crossed it comes your way as well next time round. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before you go, Mike?
Yeah, thank you. Just all my family and friends that have watched. It's also Mother's Day in South Africa today, so shout out to my old lady. She was staying up late tonight watching, and also thanks to Simracersworld TV and you guys for a great broadcast, and then also to Sander, and again well done to Dan and Louise on a great race.
Well said, love it, mate. Thank you very much, and we will hopefully speak to you next time round, buddy. Have a good one.
Absolutely, thanks again, eh?
Cheers.
Bye.
Chucks that little A in at the end as well. I absolutely love that. Just to round up then, Jack, what were your thoughts on tonight?
It lived up to expectations. We knew that Sunday drivers were going to bring something else, and they definitely did. The Mazda MX-5s, they're not the most sort of in-your-face cars. You wouldn't think of them. If you were to think of sort of close, fast action, you'd maybe think GT3s, possibly even the TCRs. Obviously, we've got those as well. But the Mazda MX-5s, they've made it work. So a great job from Sunday Drivers and Sander to get all this sorted. Obviously, H20, the title sponsor, they did a great job. And I know I'm pretty much summing up the season instead of the night. But but it really is reflective of the season. Just one race, it shows you what the season's like. So if this is your first time here, you've got to stop by again. They're every 3 weeks, so it's not a massive commitment for anybody. But it really does reflect what the season's been like. They've been nose to tail pretty much everywhere. You're never short of action in any of these races. So it's going to be a crazy spectacle at Silverstone next. So yeah. I can't wait for that. What would you say is sort of your highlights, and what are you looking forward to for the next one?
I just love the absolute man-fruits to the wall approach some of these guys take. They really just send it. They just think, you know what, I am going to outbrake you. I am going to go down the inside. Sometimes, yeah, it may look a bit questionable to everybody watching. I mean, even from our point of view to other drivers, you may think, oh, you shouldn't have done that, mate. That's a bit, overzealous. But, a lot of racing drivers that come through to become so great, they have that quality. They really do go for the gap. I hate the saying that Senna came out with years ago that I'm not going to repeat, but it can be true in certain circumstances, I mean, a lot of people, you need to take the chance. It was very famously said by Michael Jordan that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And that's the sort of approach some of these guys have, and I've really enjoyed watching that tonight. This track has had a bit of everything, a bit of slipstreaming down that final section, a tight and twisty infield, And like you say, Jack, Silverstone is going to be an absolute belter. But that, of course, brings us to the end of our stream this evening. Thank you, everybody that has been watching. We've really enjoyed having you. We hope we have provided a good broadcast for you. We'll be back in 3 weeks' time, as Jack has said, as we go to Silverstone for the next round of the Sunday Drivers MX-5 series with H20. Broadcast live on Simracersworld TV. I've been Chaz Draycott, joined tonight by Jack Werrell, and we will see you in 3 weeks' time.